Hello everyone. Welcome to EdAdmin 812, Educational Finance. My name is Michelle Partula and I'm your professor for this course this term. Now I'm trying something new. I'm using Camtasia this week. I'm using it because I'd like to talk about a few of the things that are in the syllabus and draw your attention to them so that you understand what this course is going to be about and so that you understand the assessment tools that I'm going to use. So on the syllabus, here it is. The first page is filled with the calendar description, which outlines some potential objectives, but I will be talking about them a little bit more specifically on the next page. At the bottom of the first page, of course, is the notice that we all do, conform to the academic requirements and standards of the U of S. Pretty much the message there is don't plagiarize. Your text, the Alden Kitchen text, it will be in the bookstore. I was told that it should be there today, but because some of you don't have it yet, we are only going to be doing a few exploratory things this week and then starting the materials next week in the course. Of course, if you're in your master's program, you likely already have the APA manual. If not, you can grab that at any time. The course objectives for this course are discrete. There are 6, and those objectives are the only thing that I'll be assessing you on this term. So please take a look at them. The first one is to develop an understanding of the principles of funding distribution and the principles of taxation. The second one, develop knowledge of post-secondary and First Nations education. The third, to learn about concepts of taxation and the mill rate. The fourth, learning about types of grants and differences between different provinces and their funding mechanisms. Fifth, to appreciate the budgeting that goes on in your school, sources of funds, issues, and management. And the last one, of course, is to develop skills for writing at the graduate level, and that will require that you use APA. Method, of course, is online. Asynchronous, that means that you don't need to log on at the same time as everyone else, providing that you do log on 3 or 4 times per week. Every single week, I would expect that you are involved in the discussions that are taking place in the course. And you can't do that all in one day. A discussion requires some back and forth. And the time commitments are listed there because with any university course, the university wants us to be aware that you'll be spending time reading, time writing. We don't have a final exam, so I don't have it written there, although there's exam preparation time that I couldn't remove. I actually don't know how long it takes for individual students to do the work because everyone learns at a different rate, but I'm required to put that on there, so there it is. The assignments, the philosophy and rationale of your course assignments really follows my philosophy of assessment quite tightly. I actually believe that assessment is one of the most critical pieces of a course. If designed properly, assessment actually assists with learning. It's not just an assessment of learning. So when we talk about assessment of learning and assessment for learning, I actually believe in the concept of assessment as learning. And if you want more information about that, just go to the WNCP document from 2006. Because of the assessment philosophy that I use, I believe that instruction and assessment must be aligned. So we're going to use rubrics in this course so that the material that you're covering and the material that you're being assessed on are the same. Secondly, I think that students should have a choice on how they represent their work. So for this course, you'll have a lot of choice. You get to pick 3 assignments out of the possible 8. I believe that students should be given more than one chance to show their learning, so if you decide that you want to resubmit an assignment, you simply redo that assignment, attach a new rubric, submit the old one, and then submit them for assessment. I won't average the 2 scores, but instead I will allow you to keep the highest score attained. I believe that assessment mechanisms ought to be detailed and provided ahead of time so that students can be actively involved in their learning. Sean calls this double loop learning, and it works. And lastly, and I kind of talked about it with number 3, students ought to be given the opportunity to resubmit their work for a new score. Now in this course, I would expect that with each assignment, you submit a blank copy of the rubric for which that assignment is related. Let's talk about that a little bit. So here are the assignments and the assessment tools that we'll be using. You get to choose 3 assignments out of these possible 8, but you're also required to contribute to online discussions. The 3 assignments will be evenly divided amongst the 80%, and the online discussions will be worth 20. But as I'll talk about in a couple minutes, you could actually submit one of your more brilliant online discussions as one of your 3 assignments. And so really, if you're careful with these assignments, you may only have to do 3 discrete things. 6 objectives of this course, so there are 6 rubrics, but you only submit 3 assignments. This means that you need to decide which rubrics are going to combine on which assignments. These are the possible choices. A significant works discussion leadership. 3 times during this course there will be opportunity during lighter weeks for students to post an artifact online, an interesting article, something like that, and monitor the discussion about that all week long. Important is that you distribute the article online, and that through discussion the class comes to know what it is that you're talking about, what your insights are, and such. What's critical is that this work covers at least one of the 6 objectives. Now, since you have to cover 6 objectives and you have 3 assignments, you may want to do 2 objectives per assignment. But let's say you're doing something and it really only covers one of the objectives, then one of your other assignments will likely have 3 objectives, or whatever it is that you need to do to organize that. Another option is a political cartoon. This needs to be well illustrated so that it can illustrate or make a point. That point needs to be related to one of the 6 course objectives. Events interpretation. This is a matter of taking a newspaper article and discussing it, discussing its meaning and relating it to what we're covering in class. The events interpretation again needs to cover at least one of the objectives. Once you receive your text, if you want to, you can do a text chapter review. All of the chapters are related to this course. I don't go through the text in a detailed way because I believe that that's just doing work that you could be doing on your own if you want to. So I'm never going to cover material or create a PowerPoint off of the textbook material. I'll simply suggest that you read the text on the days that its content is related to what we're covering in the course. But if you want to cover one of the chapters and do a summary of it and interpret it, you can submit that as one of your assignments. A course paper. You can, if you'd like, write a traditional paper for this course, and there's a separate rubric for the course paper because this would cover objective number 6. You don't have to do a course paper though to cover objective number 6, because obviously you can show me that you know how to write at the graduate level with events interpretation, with a text chapter review, or otherwise. Option F and option G are both proposals. If you'd like, you can submit your own ideas of what might be a better way to collect money and develop it into a grant plan, or to distribute money. Both of those options would of course require an explanation as to how it's related to the objectives, and they need to be illustrated and explained. And lastly, class participation and discussion. This is again required. You are required to log in every week, likely 2-3 times, maybe 4, it's up to you, and participate in the posts that are on our web page. Now this is what makes our course really lively, and it's what makes it a constructive course where we learn together. I'll be assessing you on this, and that makes up 20% of your marks. But let's say that you had a particularly brilliant post, and there was some really good discussion going on with it, and you interjected online, and you thought that what you were talking about really targeted one of the course objectives. You could take that post and submit it along with the rubric as one of your class assignments. So your class participation and discussion will for sure be counted in the 20 points, but if you're creative and you can cover off the objectives in this way, you can also submit one discussion as one of your assignments. Remember that a short explanation as to how that assignment covers each of the objectives is required, and a blank copy of each rubric needs to be submitted. I'll show you what that looks like. Here's a rubric. This one is related to the first course objective, which is to develop an understanding of the principles of funding distribution and the principles of taxation. What I'd expect there is your name and a title for your assignment, and then this is where you explain how that assignment meets the objectives. Then the criteria are listed on this page, where you go from a not passing, which isn't going to happen, to fair, satisfactory to good, very good to excellent, and exceptional. these categories of performance match the University of Saskatchewan grading standards. So I'll scroll down there. Careful if you're nauseous. I'm going to be going fairly quickly here. These are the University of Saskatchewan grading standards, and you'll see that this is for the College of Grad Studies. Note, 90 to 100 is exceptional, 80 to 89 is very good, 70 to 79 satisfactory, and 60 to 69 is poor. According to Grad Studies, a mark of less than 60 is failure. Now this rarely happens in finance, and if you were ever in danger of having an assignment that was below 60, we would be having a meaningful conversation anyway. Now the words that are under each of these categories, superior performance, comprehensive, insight, capacity, those types of things, you'll notice, I'm scrolling back here, those of you that are nauseous, don't watch. You'll notice these words are found in each of the criteria. You'll see the purpose is identified, the principles are listed there, understanding the principles, critical thinking are required, and use of language and medium in achieving purpose. So depending on how you're doing, you'll see that each of these can be achieved, and you know that the targets that you're going for. Then once I'm done assessing the assignment, I simply take the total of marks and add it to the 60 that you see on the screen at the bottom. I really hope I'm explaining this well. So for purpose of assignment, let's say you got very good to excellent, you might get a 4 there. Understanding the principles, let's say you get a 9. Understanding the principles of taxation, a 6, whatever they are, I'll take the 4, the 9, the 6, and then the marks for the other 2 and add them to 60. So you'll see how it is quite easy to get the marks that you deserve in this course. Second objective is here, and it's rubric. Third objective, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And then, of course, class participation. The rubric is here, and I use the mechanism developed by Professor Tyler at Brown University. The grading system again, and the course schedule. This week I have already posted your posts for the week. The overview and the criteria is what I want you to look at this week, and there are 2 areas that I'd like you to discuss. One is I'm sorry, I'm stumbling here, introduction, and you'll attach a photo of yourself if you don't mind. And the second is letting me know what you want to learn from this course, and in that post I would like you to not only place a brand new post but reply to someone else's to get used to the format. So that's all for this week. Please take a look at the syllabus, send me any questions that you might have, and participate in both discussion posts. I look forward to working with you this term, and until I hear from you online, I'll talk to you later.